Welcome back to A Hill with a View. My name is Moshe Hill, and it is my pleasure this week to be joined by political activist Thomas Kellogg. I have met this guy on social media. I saw him. He's blowing up on social media. I'm so excited. I reached out to him on X. He said, let's do it. Let's talk about this because I want to make my show about New York politics. We got to take New York back from this one-party state that we've been running here. Thomas, so great to have you on the show.
So great to be here.
So just before we get started, I'd want to remind everyone to subscribe, like, share the show with all your friends. We're going to bring more guests to you. We're going to start with Thomas. We're going to have Thomas. Maybe we're going to have him back a few times. We're going to try to do this, but we're going to talk about the issues in New York. I just want to give you some plugs. So Thomas can be found on Instagram, Thomas in NY. So that's Thomas _ in.ny, Thomas in NY, that's his Instagram, and his X is at Thomas Kellogg NY, and he's blowing up all over X. I see him everywhere. I love it. So Thomas, tell me how you got started with all the political activism in New York, of all places, Republican activism. How did you get started with this?
So I got started after the 2024 elections. I saw that we had lost a bunch of congressional seats.
Yeah.
In a very great year, considering Trump did pretty well. I saw the need to get involved. Originally, I was actually going to start a project. I didn't see myself just doing independent journalism or activism as much as I am now. I saw myself just building like a grassroots project. That's what I was calling it. And then all of a sudden, I started getting that after I said that, hey, I am looking into starting a project in 2026. I started to blow up a little bit from there. I used to be known actually as Assemble X New York. Mm-hmm. I actually took over the account. It had only 400 followers at the time. I took over an account. Then I rebranded it just to my personal activism, and I saw the need to expose the deep state, mm-hmm. and even expose the establishment Republicans.
Yeah. So you're talking about in New York or nationally? You want to get more involved, but
New York, but also the Northeast. I am trying to expand nationally.
Well, when I first saw you, and this is back in 2024, so early into 2025, so it was a little over a year ago, and I saw that you were posting all the time, and it looked like you were trying to do what Scott Presler was doing in Pennsylvania, just registering voters, getting people to the polls, making people more, excited about getting to the polls and getting more involved. Just because we are a deep blue state doesn't mean we always have to be that way. We can change, we can go for the better. And I think that we really need people like you, young people, I think you're like half my age, dude. And so we need young people to really get people out to the polls. And so I remember that election, though, when you were talking about, we had some losses in 2024. And I remember that night because Anthony D'Esposito, with my congressman, who I've known for years. I've known him for a long time. I campaigned for him in 22 and then again in 2024. And when he lost, it was a very bittersweet night for me because I was so excited about Trump and excited about Republicans winning the House and the Senate and Trump and the presidency and returning back to normalcy. But there was a bittersweet moment because my guy, Anthony D'Esposito, didn't make it through. So
same here with Molinaro.
Yeah.
Molinaro was from my... actually lives in my town.
Oh man, yeah. So Mark Molinaro, great guy also, and it's upsetting that he didn't make it through.
Just watching those results, it was like a very mixed emotion. I was like, okay, Republicans win the Senate and House, but it's kind of sad because we're losing our representative.
Yes, and it's funny because, well, not funny, but it's sad because in 2022, New York actually was the delegation that propelled the Republicans to Congress. The New York delegation was the difference maker over there in 2022, which was supposed to be a wave year and then just turned to be a trickle year. And the Democrats have been trying so hard to do everything they can to change the rules to prevent Republicans from winning. So, all the news.
Or watching that in Virginia tonight.
I was just about to say, Virginia they're doing what the Democrats in New York are trying to do, have been doing for years. So in New York, we have, and if you see any results, by the way, because the last I saw, the no was winning. No was winning like 53-47.
Yes, took a lead by a slight.
Oh.
But I think it's the Supreme Court in Virginia will be able to potentially overturn this, because they actually didn't finish the interesting enough, they didn't, off topic.
Yeah, go.
They didn't finish so they didn't finish ruling on it. They only finished ruling on the referendum if it should go through or not.
Oh, you're cutting in and out.
Yeah. Actually,
So Thomas is cutting in and out for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could fix that on your end, but yeah. So I missed the last part you just said, but it looks like, if it does pass, the language of the of this ballot measure is just, it reminded me of such a New York move, where
yes, the only difference is they have a referendum, and in New York we have no power whatsoever.
It's 100%, and it's been one party rule since 2019. So there's I think we could talk about. I gave you like 5 topics. I was like, we could talk about like a few topics here and there. There's probably 50 topics easily that we could talk about how terrible the governance has been in New York since they took over one party rule in 2019. There has been just year after year of raising taxes, spending money, spending like crazy, putting up all these rules and regulations, making this the most unattractive state in the country. And it's really ridiculous. The first thing I wanted to talk about was that the Department of Transportation pulling funding that 53% of, according to the Department of Transportation, they gave them 4 months to correct this issue, which is 53% of commercial driver's licenses issued to foreigners in New York were issued illegally. So the Department of Transportation pulled $73 million from New York State because they're illegally giving commercial driver's licenses to foreigners. I mean, what are we doing?
It's 100% just dangerous, 100% not American, 100% does not represent our American values, America first. Of course, nothing Hochul does is going to be America first. So he's New York last, America last. Exactly, and I do agree that funding should have been pulled a long time ago. Especially if you're not going to use it for. I mean, look at the roads.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know where that money is going, but the roads are horrific. There are potholes everywhere. It's been a one mess up after another. I mean, it's terrible to go around. I was in Orlando a few weeks ago. I went down there for a couple weeks, and it's gorgeous over there. The roads are brand new. Everything's brand new. We're building up. I've been to Texas, and they're just building. Everything's nice. Everything's going. New York, man, we're the highest tax state. We have the worst taxes in the country, and we have no roads. And now we're pulling another $73 million. And I don't blame the Department of Transportation. I don't blame them, even though they're pulling from my state, and that's harming me. It actually is actively harming me. But how can I blame them for trying to enforce the law?
100%. I mean, I blame the governor. They wouldn't be pulling the funding if it wasn't for her incompetentness. Also, for her just giving licenses to people who don't even speak English, don't even know how to read signs.
I mean, that you see these stories coming out, like the one that
You
came
mean
out
you
of
want to make the
Florida.
roads like Walmart? You
And
want to make the roads like Walmart?
I mean, they also this it extends to the fact that like you don't if you get a driver's license in New York, you're not staying in New York. Commercial drivers do not stay in New York. They go all around the country. I mean, they if
Yeah.
you're
They're putting more than New Yorkers' lives at risk. They're putting all Americans' lives at risk.
yes, 100%. I mean, and it is not easy. I'll give you a little background on me. Before I got into politics, I was working in a meat plant actually, and I did not have a commercial driver's license, but I was driving with the guy who had the commercial driver's license. These trucks are not easy, and we're driving around New York City. It is not easy to do this. And I mean, I'm driving with a guy who's been doing it for 30 years. And it's this stuff is just not easy to do. So I physically remember being in these big trucks, and even that truck was like small compared to these 18-wheelers. That was a box truck, that you like a U-Haul, like a large U-Haul. You drive around. That was basically the size of it. And driving that thing around, backing up into these onto these loading docks in like traffic and going everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you can't read the signs, if you don't read English, if you don't know, especially in New York City, where you can,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, absolutely insane. Now, the Hochul though, Hochul's got a problem because, as we saw in today, she actually had some protesters sitting outside of her office. If you don't mind, you know what? I'm going to share this. I'm going to share this little video over here so you can take a look. Hold on. Let me just get a little technical difficulty over here. There we go. Okay. So we got. Bells rise, Hochul rise. Utility bells rise, Hochul rise. Utility bells rise, Hochul.
Trump's favorite dam.
Yeah.
That's just
Isn't that incredible? Trump's favorite Dem. Isn't that amazing? So they're sitting outside Hochul's office.
That's
Isn't that amazing? I mean,
yeah, it's ironic.
It's crazy. So they
And I'll be honest, I didn't even see this. So I'm about 30 minutes from Albany, and I'm like in Albany like news, like regional, like so I didn't even see this on my local news.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't even put it on the local news. Amazing.
No,
yeah, because it makes her look bad.
The ABC. Yeah, they didn't put like I'm calling it a mini insurrection. When you're blocking off doors and police are having to.
I know. Were people what's it called? Were people arrested for it? I mean, let me just look up if there was any. Oh, I'm just looking up if there were people arrested for this and what happened. Here we go. Mass arrests of deranged climate activists outside Governor Hochul's office. And here, I'm going to share the screen, actually, so you could just take a look. We're a high concept. We're a great little organization over here. There you go. So, while being let out in handcuffs, activists said, "Let's get another pipeline through New York. I want it going through Midtown. I am here because Kathy Hochul is a climate criminal. She is not going to do fracking."
A climate criminal?
Yeah, climate criminal. She said no new gas stoves. She's the one who did that. She's copying.
No, I think that she is a gas criminal or an oil.
Yeah, she's an oil criminal. She's an energy criminal, is what she is.
Energy criminal. I like her.
Stop acting like a coward. The irony of these protests, they never accomplish anything except for creating waste. Let's see. Climate activists blocking Kathy Hochul's office are getting mass arrested by New York State Police. Hochul lies. Trump and Hochul. What's the difference? What's the difference between Trump and Hochul? Can you tell me? Are there any differences between Trump and Kathy Hochul?
Absolutely. I mean, Trump literally had to like force her to put a pipeline. There was no. She didn't do it without her own will.
No, she did not.
And she only got one pipeline, and there's much more opportunity for energy to independence in New York.
To my area of New York, to Long Island.
Yeah, yeah. The southern tier also. I mean, I'm from the Hudson Valley, so I'm not from the southern tier. But
Y-
there's a lot of opportunity for. I mean, they're running and the ironic thing is they're running a pipeline from Canada
Oh yeah.
all the way through the Hudson Valley, which is causing road closures.
Oh my God.
Because why we ask? Yeah, no, it makes no
They
sense.
don't know what they're doing. They do not know what they're doing.
No,
These.
and then the solar energy. I mean, you're just buying up farmland. I'm sure it's happening on Long Island. It's happening upstate too.
Well, they're trying on Long Island. They're trying to put solar panels on the roof of every house.
And offshore wind. Oh, they're trying that here too. I mean, they're
Yeah.
basically Hochul actually wants to pass a bill. I know we talked about regulations briefly. Hochul wants to pass a bill that make more regulations that would prevent towns and communities from making their own decisions when it comes to solar approval and zoning laws.
Oh yeah, they're trying to
Basic,
do everything from Albany, right?
yes.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. She's trying to pull. That would actually be a great thing for the Blakeman campaign to talk about. It's because a lot of people got mobilized in Nassau County because Hochul wanted to basically control all school boards from
Yes,
Albany
that too.
in
And we're
2024.
seeing that up and we're seeing that garbage up here. The liberals from the city, not from Long Island, because obviously you guys don't come up here for liberals. A bunch of liberals from the city
Yeah.
are just bringing their pride, and they're having a pride parade in my village.
I,
And they started a socialist group chapter in my county a year ago.
oh my God, socialists! They're nuts. They're all
They're
nuts.
running somebody tax the rich who's a 70-year-old person. It's funny. A lot of these people that are socialists are also older people protesting. It's the most irony. Like it's like these older people, just boomers. Bunch of some of Gen Z, but most of it's a bunch of socialist boomers I see protesting.
Yeah. Oh, it's old white people. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's old white. It's
Yep.
it's
You don't see
hippies
no
from the
blacks. You don't
19.
need. You know Hispanics. You
Nope.
don't see.
Nope. No black people. No Hispanic people. No. You do not see it. I remember actually saying because I attend a lot of Republican events in Nassau County, and I did it last year because I ran for county legislature last year. I'm running again this year, and I go to our rallies. We have rallies and we have events. We have a lot of them, and it was last year also was when Mamdani was running, and I remember remarking to other candidates. We have I'm only going to say they're racist because it's relevant to the story. I was telling a black candidate and a Muslim candidate that I'm friends with that our rallies are more diverse than Mamdani's rallies. You're looking at Mamdani's rallies; it's all young white people. It's all white people, and the Republican rallies in Nassau County, you see everything. You see black, you see white, you see Hispanic, you see Indian, you see everybody, because that's what because it's about ideology. It's not. And the ideology of the conservative Republican Party appeals to more people than the socialist ideology that is being portrayed now by
It's
Mamdani
true. I mean,
and Kathy
socialism
Hochul.
does not appeal.
No.
You need in our problem and the Republican side is we need to stop trying to get the leftists to cross over. We need to stop aiming for those leftist independents when a lot of those independents don't want amnesty.
Yeah, well, there's a big difference between a leftist and a, let's call him a Reagan Democrat, or even a Trump Democrat.
Well, a conservative Democrat.
Okay, yeah, or like a center left Democrat, a liberal, a classical liberal, let's say. I mean, I'm every one of my parents' generation, and you're talking boomers, right? Every one of the boomer generation that I know, not the people who are out there protesting, not the people who were hippies in 1965 and never gave it up and always were hoping that that flower power would come back in a big way. Not those people. Normal people in 1965. Normal people who voted for for Republicans and Democrats based on ideas. They voted for Reagan, but then they voted for Clinton. Those people,
100%.
all of them vote Republican. All of them now. They're not registered as Republicans. They're registered as Democrats or independents, but they all vote Republican. And I'll tell you, just from my personal experience, when I'm looking at data from voting blocks, the number of votes I got, and the number of votes that Bruce Blakeman got when he ran for re-election last year far exceeds the number of registered Republicans in the county and in the area, because Democrats are crossing over, and independents are lining with Republicans at much higher numbers than, and so we got to keep that up.
I mean, we do, and the problem with the GOP, for example, tonight, they have so much money on their hands. They didn't spend much. They have such a money spending advantage, but they don't spend much money in races.
You talking about in Virginia? Or just...
in general, but yeah, we can use Virginia as an example. This yes thing actually was expected to win by like 15 points. The Democrats only won it by like a point.
Yeah,
that's honestly an example. Republicans could have won this referendum if they spent more money. They have a big war chest, bigger than the Democratic chest, and the first time in history. They need to use their powers to advantage. We need to get the SAVE Act passed. We need to get a lot of things done.
100%, yeah. And the fact that we just lost, in theory, if it does not get overturned in court, how many seats did you just lose in Virginia? 4? Just lost.
We just lost 4 seats. I mean, maybe we only lose 3, but still, it's still a bunch of seats.
Yeah.
That we could have just kept.
It's literally 218, 217 now. Like it is as close as it can mathematically be in Congress. You cannot lose 3 seats.
Yeah, no, this is for the 2026. This is for this upcoming midterm.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, so and we also hope the Supreme Court overturns the Voting Rights Act. That way voting rights, it's more so, it was never voting rights.
No, it was never about that. But we cannot rely on the courts to just do our work for us.
No.
You know?
Well, no, 100%. But we need to get the butts off. I will say I am very surprised that a lot of Republicans did get out and voted. Honestly, I think Republicans, if they would have did this in the governor's tour elections last year, then they probably would have won these states.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Republicans outperform Trump tonight, which is honestly much better, but we still lost it. A loss is a loss.
Yes, you know, and I will always quote...
It's very...
I will always quote The Fast and the Furious because it's relevant everywhere. Besides living your life a quarter mile at a time,
yep.
It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning.
Yep. Yes, winning is winning. Just like a loss is a loss. Doesn't matter if you only lost by a point. It's a loss.
Yes,
it's a lost cause.
Absolutely true.
I mean, it might be a sign. Maybe Republicans are waking up. That would have to be seen. Maybe Republicans are finally waking up. I mean, this is pretty big since Republicans were actually in some counties were presidential level.
Yeah, I mean,
to see, can that transpire into New York?
Yes,
the nation.
Then speaking of New York, so I got this Politico article that. See here, Kathy Hochul has become.
Oh, I love Politico. I'm just kidding. You know what?
If even Politico's saying it, and they're not saying it in a bad way. They're not saying it in a bad way. They're saying it in a good way.
Has become most important ally. Yeah, I find most important ally, but there was protesters. Interesting.
Yeah, but it also says the moderate governor. That's how Politico calls her. Politico refers to her as a moderate.
She ain't no moderate.
She is not a moderate. She cosplays as a moderate.
She's honestly a little bit further left than Cuomo, and Cuomo was actually more leftist than people say he is.
Oh my God, Cuomo is insane. Cuomo, I had a article back in 21, I think, about like 10 reasons why you cannot elect Chris Cuomo again for like a 4th term or whatever it was. Yeah, Cuomo was insane. And Cuomo also, besides the fact that he was the architect behind the financial collapse in 2008. Yeah, no problem. So I'll read this. That basically Politico is saying that Governor Kathy Hochul's proposed tax on pricey New York City real estate is offering yet another desperately needed financial boost to rookie Mayor Zohar Mamdani. Hochul is backing an annual surcharge on non-primary Big Apple residences that are worth $5 million or higher, and with the proceeds going to paying down Mamdani's $5.4 billion city budget gap. So all they have is taxing. All they have is weird taxes. There's not a thought to lowering the spending. Not even a thought to it. And all they could do is tax. By the way, and then the way Mamdani celebrated on April 15th, on tax day, the taxing the rich, the way he celebrated that was really, it was despicable because he was
mocking.
He stood outside of someone's home and said, this is a rich guy who bought this for $235 million. Or whatever it was. Or he's worth $235 million or whatever he said. And first of all, let's just think about this logically. You want as many people in your city to buy homes and then not use them. Like, why would you... Yeah, like, how does that hurt you?
Yeah. These policies are not hurting the people. They're actually hurting the budget even more.
Like, all you're doing is collecting property taxes from somebody.
How some of these policies could affect the middle class.
Oh, not even a question that they affect. Here's the thing.
Let's start out with this. Yeah. This whole $5 million thing. What are they valuing? How are they valuing these homes? Are these people? Because there's middle class people who bought second homes back in the when homes were dirt cheap, and they have like a small apartment that could be worth $5 million. Who knows? Prices, inflation.
It's not even like. That's one issue. Yes, 100%. Another issue that goes on with this is the way that these taxes get passed. These taxes do not get passed because they're sitting in a legislature and they're saying we're going to pass this tax. What happens is they put out a budget, and in the budget they have a certain amount of spending, and their congressional, well, in Congress is the Congressional Budget Office, but the Budget Office in Albany, what they do is they say, well, the spending you have has to match the revenue you're taking in because you cannot put in a deficit, right? Although we know that they put in deficits every single time. So what they say is, okay, well, we're going to raise these taxes, and with the expected revenue that we're going to get from these taxes, then the spending works out. However, the revenue never comes. Because rich people are smarter than the government. Since rich people are smarter than the government and they know how to not pay taxes, then the revenue never comes. But the spending is always there. So if the spending is always there, then what happens? They need to raise taxes again on a lower level on the not $5 million, $3 million apartment. $1 million. Well, now it's a primary residence.
What they're proposing with the inheritance tax for homes valued at $750,000 or inheritance.
Yeah,
I mean, for example,
it's insane. First of all, $750,000 is nothing at this point.
No, my grandparents bought their home back in the 1980s for that. No, for $185,000. But they have a business too that's connected to like mobile home park. But now it's worth about over a couple mil.
Yeah, I mean that's how it happens everywhere. A $750,000 home in New York, in where most people in New York live, is 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. That is a
even in the Hudson Valley, like homes are closer to like $650. They're no longer like they're all creeping up to that. And then eventually it'll be $550,000. It will be.
It's gonna keep. By the way, and I had people asking me about the mansion tax because the mansion tax was passed in the 1970s for all homes over $1 million, and it's like, well, in the 1970s that was a mansion, but now that's like a normal home, a $1 million home. So, so can they?
Maybe in Texas.
Yeah, exactly. So now it's a normal home.
The only place in Florida, at least, to have like something that looks like a castle.
Exactly. So what you got behind you? Yeah, it's like that's Texas and Florida, by the way, not so cheap. You're thinking the Dakotas. You're not thinking the Texas and Florida.
But still much cheaper than New York, but yeah, exactly. But
So
you can still get into something much bigger, still bigger than 2 bedroom.
So I was talking to an assemblyman I know, and I'm like, yeah, somebody was talking about the mansion tax. Are they going to raise that? They should raise that to like 3 million or 5 million. And he's like, he looks at me like I'm insane. He's like, the Democrats want to lower it. The Democrats don't want to raise the number on the mansion tax to $3 million. They want to lower it to 600,000 or 500,000. And it's like, well, that makes absolutely no sense.
They want to lower it now?
They want to lower the mansion tax. That's what they're talking about. Another tax that they put together, Governor Hochul.
I didn't see this one. What do they want to lower it to? That's ridiculous.
So I don't know if it actually came out. This is just somebody who I spoke to. But
is this similar to the inheritance tax?
So real estate transfer tax. So it's currently $1 million.
Where's the breathing tax? That'll be next.
Yeah, exactly. They want to what's it called? Yeah, they kept it at the 1 million. They're not doing anything with it. But there's talk in Albany, according to this guy I know, who an assemblyman I know, who said that there's talk of lowering it because that's all they know how to do.
And yeah, lower. That's
they all they know how to do is all they know what to do is tax. That's the only thing they know how to do. And that's why
tax all the working class people.
Yep.
And everything is given to the poor.
But they're not. They claim that they're taxing the rich. They're not taxing the rich.
They're taxing the middle/upper middle, but even then, they're taxing people who bought homes back in the 1980s for dirt cheap.
Yes.
That are living in a home still. That just has a higher value because of inflation.
Well, that's the unrealized gains tax. I mean,
capital gains tax.
But they want to do. This is what they're doing in what's it called in California, where they want to do the unrealized gains tax. So like you said, your grandparents bought this house for $125,000. Now it's worth $1 million. Let's say they want to tax them on the house that they didn't sell yet. So it's like, so they would say, oh, it's just 2%. So 2% of $1 million is what? 20 grand. Like 2% of $1 million is 20 grand.
Oh, yeah. So people pay taxes when they live in houses. Then they have to pay a tax when they sell a house. You shouldn't have to pay a tax on a property that you own.
Yes, that's a realized gain. The fact that you're paying taxes on selling a house is absolutely insane. But
and the fact you're paying taxes on property that you own, that you paid off, that you worked your ass off on, because then there's no point of like working your ass off if you're gonna have to pay a tax for something that you worked hard for.
Yes, 100%. And this is always, and by the way, so they're just saying tax the rich. I have to share this meme that is always relevant to me. I always think about this when I do this meme, when I talk about this stuff. This is you don't need to fight them. You need what's it called? You have the king that has all the people coming at them. You don't need to fight them. You just need to convince the pitchfork people that the torch people want to take away their pitchforks.
Yep.
That's what
Hochul is a king. Hochul is a queen.
Yeah.
Mandani is a king.
Yeah, I mean that's what they think they are at least. But then they go to the No Kings protests.
The irony, the narrative.
Yeah, they act like kings and queens. They say they're gonna tax you. They do whatever they want. They're gonna tax you. They're gonna change all the election laws to make sure that that they win. And this is
because they know that turnout can sometimes be suppressed for certain sides.
It's not about turnout. Let me tell you something, all right? They cannot convince their people to come out and vote for them in local elections. That's the thing. If you cannot convince people to come out and vote for you, why do you deserve to win?
2025 was the only exception.
What do you mean? The only exception? In 2025, no, in 2025 we had the county executive race in Nassau County, right?
Well, yeah, you guys did excellent. Up here in upstate, we did horrendous.
Yeah, so you have to convince people to come out and vote for you. I mean, like, should you be allowed to change the rules because you did poorly in an election? No,
you shouldn't. And it's also because they know that they have a higher chance of winning these town races and villages in a midterm year or presidential year because
people aren't coming out and voting for them.
Yep.
People are coming out and voting for a governor or a president. And they come out and vote for a governor or president, and then they just go down the line. And they're like, well, we're going to capitalize on somebody not caring enough about local issues. The reason why it was separated in the first place.
They sneakily take over all these towns.
The reason it was separated in the first place is because local issues, state issues are separate from state issues, which are separate from federal issues. These are separate issues, and they deserve separate attention.
Yep.
But if
it's just like how the left says they want separation of church and state. Well, we want separation of federal and local.
Yes, we have a federalist system, and it's not about the turnout. It's not about turnout numbers because we're not looking to suppress any votes. We are looking to require that people actually come out and care about issues. And you cannot claim, and the Democrats claim with a straight face, that their people only come out on certain days. They're like, well, they'll only come out during a presidential race because there's so much at stake. So we're going to have them come out on a presidential race, and then we'll expect them to vote for us down the line. But you're telling me that the issues are the same? They're not even close.
No, 100%.
The issues of a presidential race and a local councilman race are vastly different.
Are 10 times different.
They're nothing.
Nothing to do with, like, for example, zoning laws. They want to make them state laws. They want to have the state ones. This is just basically, at this point, it's just Marxist communism. It's no longer socialism. It's honestly Marxism.
I know. It's like we're gonna miss the good old days when it was just democratic socialism. It's like
now it's democratic communism,
and now it's just straight up Marxist social communist fascism. Exactly.
And now it's actually, this is true fascism.
Oh yeah, I don't even know the meaning of the word.
True definition of fascism.
Yes.
When they take over your local, when they make everything, it's basically
with the permission of the government. It's
kind of like in a country where they take where the government is in charge of distributing things, and you have no say. Just like in China, just like in Venezuela, Cuba, bread lines.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's just changing your laws. It's basically saying, no, we are going to control how many houses or apartments you put in. She's basically trying to do what they did in New York City already on the state level. Yes,
but not just that. They're trying to control every single aspect of every single business. So we have this story that came out a couple weeks ago about New York City is going after delivery workers. Do you see this? I mentioned this to you.
Again, it's going to affect the consumer.
It's going to affect the consumer. Amazon is going to say we're either not delivering in New York City, or New York City cannot have free delivery. And it's just going to have a surcharge for New York City because what they're doing. First of all, you're also destroying small businesses, which is insane because they're not unionized.
Again, they talk about helping small businesses. They aren't helping small businesses.
Yeah. So I actually had to look this up because I did not understand it. So this is the Delivery Protection Act, which was reintroduced earlier this year by Democratic Queens Councilwoman Tiffany Caban, who, by the way, was around 20 votes away from becoming the district attorney of Queens back a few years ago. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but I think it was back in 2018, and maybe a little later. Maybe it was a little later. There was a primary in Queens, a Democratic primary, because there was a Republican on there too, but whoever was the Democrat nominee was going to win the general. And there was a primary in Queens between Tiffany Caban, who is a far left socialist, and Melinda Katz, who I do have some issues with, but who is also what's it called? Curtis Sliwa's baby mama, which is amazing. Yeah. Which is just a great little thing. But Melinda Katz, and I know in the Jewish community they were telling everyone to register Democrat to vote in this particular race. You have to register Democrat, vote in this race because Tiffany Caban is nuts. And she is nuts, and she came this close to winning. She was very, very close to winning within a couple dozen votes at best.
No, 100%.
And then the next election cycle, she became a New York City councilwoman. And so what Amazon does is they have these small mini warehouses in New York City, and they have so they bring their big trucks, drop things off of this small mini warehouse, and then subcontractors. There are around 40 subcontractors with over 5,000 workers who go to these sites, pick up the deliveries, and drive around. And they could be in small little trucks. You see them around the city because you can't.
And that's going to be thousands of jobs lost. Once again, the party that claims they're for economy growth and economic growth. Nope. They're just being.
They're doing it on behalf of the unions. They're doing it because the unions want to unionize Amazon warehouses, and they can't unionize them if it's subcontractors.
Just like they want these teachers who don't even teach their kids to be able to retire at 55.
Yeah, well, that's a completely different issue. The teachers' unions. This is the Teamsters union, the teachers' union. I mean, listen, I am actually a member of a union, a practical sector union, and I have some qualms with the unions, and I have some understanding with the union. But I do not care for unions forcing themselves upon. You want to have a union, make a union. If the workers want to do this, make it. But forcing yourself through legislation to have a union, to make people have unions, then through legislation require the unionized workers to donate to the union, and then the union then donates to the Democrat politicians who they negotiate the contracts with. I mean, it's just ripe for corruption. It really is. And
no, it is.
And the only real way to do this, and I'm speaking as someone who is aspiring to be in government and would like to work with unions, you got to work with them in good faith, and if you're working with a union in good faith, like I know many people do, and I know many union members who are willing to work in good faith, then great. You will do what's best for you. You do what's best for us. That's something. But doing this kind of stuff openly and trying to knock small businesses out of business, it's not good, and it's not a good look for anyone.
No, it's absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, so I think we got through all the topics I wrote down. It's this is just, it really is such a crazy state. I mean, I'm hoping.
No, we're definitely gonna need to do a part 2.
We're definitely gonna need to do a part 2. We're gonna do we had a long election season coming up. We're gonna do some stuff upstate. We're gonna do some stuff downstate. Who is running? Do you know who's running in your district in the congressional district, on the Republican side?
Yeah, it's getting actually a little heated.
It's getting a little heated. Is there a primary?
As of right now, no.
Okay, so we have a congressional primary by us. I'm backing Janine Driscoll. Janine Driscoll is the receiver of taxes in Hempstead, in the town of Hempstead. And what a receiver of taxes on the Republican side does is spends all of her time teaching people how to lower their taxes. That is literally what she does. She goes seminar to seminar for the past however many. I think she's been in office since 21. I have to look it up how long she's been in office for. But all she does is teach people how to lower their taxes, because that's how Republican receiver of taxes work. I don't know what Democrat receiver of taxes do. They just sit there and receive them.
If you know the Assemblyman Chris Tagg.
I don't know. No.
Okay. Yeah, he's kind of from upstate, but I know he kind of does some traveling downstate. So, in that race, Assembly, we have no primary.
Uh-huh.
A very interesting Democratic primary. I kind of briefly said there's a Democratic socialist running right up the road from my house. She's 70 years old.
Oh my God.
She's running for tax the rich. No, freeze the rent. We knew this was going to happen statewide. I mean, it already happened. Cuomo already partially did freeze the rent when he put regulatory regulations that when we raise the rent a certain amount. When we raise it up like in a certain amount.
Oh my God. It's nuts.
Yeah. Congressional race. We do have a Republican potential primary brewing. This one guy's trying to get on the ballot. He's kind of catching some steam.
What district are you in?
19.
I gotta look this up. I'm gonna look this up, and we're going to take a look at this. I love it. It always gets nuts around this time of year. Well, we got a primary in June 23rd. If you're in the sound of my voice and you are in Congressional District 4, vote for Janine Driscoll. And if you're in Congressional District 3, vote for Mike LaPetrie. That's all I have to say about it.
Mike LaPetrie's a great guy.
Love Mike. He's a great guy. Yeah, he's going to be a great congressman.
I'm still going to say, am I biased? I still wish Elise would have stayed in. But we do have to unite and support Blakeman.
100%. I love Blakeman. I was so happy. And honestly, when Elise dropped out, I said phew, because Bruce Blakeman's my guy, and I wanted him to get in. I love that guy.
Elise was my girl.
Because you're upstate and I'm downstate, so.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not in her district, but I'm very close to her district.
Yeah. So.
And I really thought, Blakeman's doing excellent. He's turning it around.
I think he's doing great. I think he's getting some more name recognition. He's all the public polls that I'm seeing have him within 9.
We need to get an independent poll. I actually do know a poster that is interested, so
all right,
can actually get you.
Let's do it.
Yeah, if you wanna. Really easy support.
We'll connect offline. We'll figure that out. All right. So this has been A Hill with a View. Thomas Kellogg, thank you so much for joining. So happy to see you. Let me just reiterate your plugs over here. You got Instagram is Thomas_in.ny. So Thomas in NY, Thomas_in.ny. And your X account is Thomas Kellogg NY. So give him a follow. And I'm gonna post these, and hopefully he'll share my stuff, and we'll get this going, and we'll take back New York. One podcast at a time.
Yes, we can do this.
All right, we're gonna do this. I love it. So Bruce Blakeman, Janine Driscoll, Mike LaPetrie. We got a lot of great candidates. Moshe Hill, no offense, a little plug over here. And we got
Anthony Constantino.
I love it. So let's get a lot of good Republican candidates.
Former district. Peter Oberacker.
And yes, and he just got Trump's endorsement. I saw that.
Yeah, I'm just glad because now I can finally say stuff about it.
All right. Good to see you. Thanks for the show. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And my name is Moshe Hill. This has been A Hill with a View.